What's up? We're live. It's Foul Territory. It's a Wednesday. Braun, Pierzynski, Kratz, and the usual stacked guest list coming soon. Before we begin, there was some news that I did not share with all of you that I found.
You subscribed?
Ho! I did subscribe for the first time. There's some news. I actually pressed subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
Wow. Thank you, Scott.
Newsletter, everywhere.
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.
And to all the other subscribers, thank you very much. We really do appreciate it.
I feel like you should start the show off from now on.
I just don't. I mean, I don't
know
go how many
3,
times.
2.
Welcome to Foul Territory, everybody. It's AJ Pierzynski. We got Erik Kratz on this side. We got Scott Braun, who we can't get rid of. Welcome to Foul Territory. Please, if you like the content, subscribe on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast, because we appreciate it. And guess what? It's also free. Now, on to the news. Let's hit the hot corner.
We're not doing hot corner yet.
Charge the Mound. Sorry.
That was good, though. Wait, don't charge yet. Don't charge. Real quick, before that, I just want to let you guys know that there was a team meeting held this morning by a team.
Huh?
Team meeting. And so...
Who the hell held a team meeting?
You want me to tell you?
I mean, obviously.
So it's the Toronto Blue Jays. Wait. So you would have thought, okay, team meeting, Kratz, I've learned this from you. What does that mean?
Panic.
No, that means...
Your best pitcher's throwing that day.
And they're probably facing trash. But I'm like, wait, hold up.
Hold up.
Blue Jays are playing the Philadelphia Phillies. They do have Chris Bassett on the mound, who I like, who could definitely be a stopper day, right? He can be a guy that can be a post-team meeting pitcher.
Yeah.
They're facing Aaron Nola and the Red Hot Phillies.
Yeah, at home, they won, 12 in a row?
In Philadelphia, right. I'm like, is this the right time to call a team meeting?
It is.
It is?
Mm-hmm. Because at some point, you got to do something.
They're 16-20. They're not 10-25.
Chris Bassett kills the Phillies, maybe?
Hopefully.
I'm just trying to get through this. Like we have a day game. It's a two-game set here. Go back to Toronto. I didn't hear that they had a team meeting. Philadelphia is nice. They got some nice bagels. They get them in from Jersey. Maybe they had a little breakfast bagel sandwich.
Just like a casual team meeting. Like, how's everyone feeling about their video game play last night after the game? Stuff like that.
I'm confused by this. I don't know. I mean, what are they meeting about? Hitting? I mean, they're 16-20. I mean, their run differential's minus 46. What are they meeting about? Hitting?
Maybe run differential.
I don't know. Guys, we got to start hitting.
Okay. Oh, Bichette's hitting below 200. Jose Barrios, their best pitcher,
shellacked.
Waffled yesterday. He had the best ERA in baseball, and the Phillies ran out a lineup that was Cody Clemens,
homered,
Garrett Stubbs, homer and a triple, Garrett Stubbs, Nick Castellanos, who just hit his first double the day before. Like, not saying that they were like this was a rest day, but there was a lot of dudes in pullovers in the dugout in like inning 3. And Barrios was in the dugout with his pullover on by inning 4. That was not the way I thought that game would go.
Yeah.
They talked about it.
Who did?
The Blue Jays.
What'd they say?
I don't know. They won't say what they talked about, but we'll see what happens in their game. Let's charge the damn mounds.
Charging the mound.
It's a topic many people are waiting to hear your thoughts on. And by your, I mean both of you. Former longtime catchers. Willson Contreras of the St. Louis Cardinals, probably their best hitter this year, has a left arm fracture. He's expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks. He was in a lot of pain.
He had the leg shake going. You know when you hurt so bad, the leg starts shaking?
Yep.
It looked like it hurt a lot.
Really bad. It's, you know how we see the catcher interference calls pretty frequently these days and it hits the glove? This was like close to his bicep. I mean, it was deep into the forearm.
Dude.
Smashed by JD Martinez, who obviously said he felt terrible and he said he felt meat and knew it was going to be a big problem. And Contreras said that he felt numb. but there was controversy stirring on both sides from yesterday's game. Yeah, some fans blaming JD, some fans blaming Cardinals coaching staff. I know, shake your head.
Some people are blaming the umpire.
Some blaming the umpire. Wait, let's see the footage first.
That was a good one.
People are fools, man.
Here it is.
Swing and a miss. That got a piece of Contreras on the big backswing. And oh boy, you worry about the left elbow and the left hand. Where did this clip him?
This one here, the backswing catches him right in the wrist, upper forearm area there. Oh, man.
Shattered.
You want to go, Kratz, before I go, or what do you?
I actually was hoping my buddy was going to get back to me. Donnie Sands, remember that name?
Yeah.
He's the only other guy I've seen video of this happen to. I was hoping he would send me the video, and it was a bad swing. JD's swing was not a bad swing. To get hit in the forearm, I can't imagine the start of your swing. Yes, it hurts, and it can cut you with your backswing, your follow through, but this I cannot imagine. And this picture, whether it's from like a kooky angle or not, she's too close.
First of all, here's my problem I have with, and this is on our Twitter staff. This is where JD Martinez was standing. JD Martinez was in the batter's box. It should say, this is where Willson Contreras set up, and he's way too fucking close. Like, Kratz, it used to be, I know they moved you up now, but I used to take, if you could take your hand out either way and touch the other guy's back knee, that's where you were supposed to be.
Yep.
Because if you could take your glove and touch his back knee, then that means you were in the right spot, because you're going to go forward to catch the ball, but the hitter also goes forward, right? When they swing, usually a lot of them, they go forward. And when they swing, everybody goes forward when they swing. Nobody swings unless you're Jacoby Ellsbury, who sometimes, I swear, tried to get catcher's interference on purpose. It'd be like 2 strikes, and he'd be like, because we'd go into a series, be like, oh, yeah, you'd be like, all right, we're playing Jacoby Ellsbury, and catcher's interference is a real possibility, guys. So back the fuck up, right?
Yep.
But I don't know. For me, this is it sucks. First of all, let me say this: it sucks for Willson Contreras. It sucks for the Cardinals. The biggest thing is it's not JD Martinez's fault. It's not the umpire's fault. JD was in the box, okay? Willson Contreras was too close. Now, I know that, listen, Kratz, you can speak on this more than I can. That MLB teams are pushing their catcher up, get closer, get closer, get closer. And this was bound to happen. Is it worth losing your starting catcher for 6 to 8 weeks and arguably the Cardinals' best player for him to steal 1 strike or 2? That's my question.
No. But they don't see it this way. They don't see, the people who push it don't see the repercussions. They do now. But they also don't see the catcher's interference issues. And they don't feel like the past balls of all this ripping balls through the strike zone. There's ways to teach receiving that do not put you in a situation where you're going to get whacked in the forearm. Do we see this every day? No, we don't see this every day. Are catcher's interferences up significantly? Yes. Because in my opinion, the people who are teaching it are not teaching it correctly. They're teaching it the way they see it from a biometric standpoint. It takes a picture, that Hawkeye system, that's like 12 or 16 cameras. Take a picture of where you are when the pitch is thrown, and guys who are like 0.5 inches back from home plate or 0.5 inches closer to home plate get X amount more strikes because the ball has less time to drop as it's coming to home plate. So they're telling everybody to move up because the stats say the pitch in the bottom half of the strike zone, there's 52% of the pitches are in the bottom half of the strike zone. So my argument to it is yes, but there's also 48% in the top half. They're all trying to go after the bottom half, and yet a lot of pitchers in baseball are throwing balls at the top of the zone. So what if you control the top of the zone? Well, that's a completely different mechanic that you actually have to teach timing and significant technique that it takes experience. And I don't know that guys technically teach that. So they just teach, get below everything, rip it up. If you get a catcher's interference, it happens.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You still have to go off where the hitter sets up because not every hitter stands in the same spot. So as a catcher, you have to look and say, oh, man, this dude moved way up in the box. I got to go with them, right? Or this guy, JD, has always been known to stand way back. Like he stands way in the back. I got to back up with him. Yeah, I'm going to be a little bit farther back on the plate, but I can't also get my arm broken, right? So that to me is where it's being taught wrong. You still have to – I get you might want to be a couple inches closer or whatever the thing is, but look at the numbers. I mean, the numbers are crazy how many catcher's interferences there are. I can only remember off the top of my head having one in my career. And it didn't even get called, actually. It was in the playoffs in 2005 against the Angels. Steve Finley hit into a double play, and he actually hit my glove, and it was so loud they didn't even call it. And the umpire was like, did he hit your glove? And I was like, what are you talking about? Because he didn't run. He took 2 steps. He's jumping up and down, yelling, and we turned an easy double play in Anaheim, but it was so loud, the umpire didn't know. Yeah, did he hit me? Yeah, boom. But I wasn't going to – I'm like, it's a double play. See ya, boys. But that's the only one I can even closely remember. Maybe in the minor leagues I got one here or there, but I was always aware of dudes that were like 2 strikes, boom, drop it back like I said about Jacoby Ellsbury. There was a couple of them that were known to try to catch it really late, right? So you just back up a little bit.
Marcell Ozuna?
He hits you with his backswing.
No, backswing's different.
See, backswing to me is completely different. That's controllable. I'm sorry, as a hitter. Because I know for a fact one time when I got away from the White Sox and I was with the Rangers, we played Alexi Ramirez in spring training and he hit me. And I told him, I said, listen, if you hit me again, I'm going to take your bat and I'm going to snap it over my knee. You're going to go get a new one. If you hit me after that, I'm going to break every bat. And he never hit me again. He stopped. He cut it off. Because it happens on accident, though.
All the time, though?
He would hit everybody. He hit dudes left and right all the time. That's different, right, Kratz? I mean, that backswing that's completely different.
You still got to know those guys. You still have to know those guys to the point where Javi Baez, I think I told this story on the show before. Javi Baez one time 3-0, he looks back at me, he goes, hey, back up a little bit. I'm going to swing really hard here. And I was like, okay, pretty sure you're getting a slider anyway, and he absolutely unloaded on a swing and his backswing came around and he didn't hit me. You know the guys. You know the guys Jacoby Ellsbury has the record for most catcher's interferences. I was at the game. Jason Castro was catching. Brett Gardner was like, he goes, hey, do you think we can get Castro's mitt? And we can put it in the Hall of Fame since that's the record, since you beat Pete Rose. Certain guys do that. The only one I ever had until 2019 was Edwin Encarnacion. Every single time Edwin Encarnacion came up to the plate, I knew it. For some reason, Eddie's swing, he just always felt really close to me. And he was the only guy I'd ever had until I had gotten one in 2019 when I was not catching the low strike and the guys on our staff were throwing balls in the bottom of the zone, a big curveball that I wasn't getting. I'm trying to remember what his name was. Drew Pomerantz was throwing curveballs and I wasn't getting it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to move up and I'm going to try to move up. Boom. Catching Bumgarner the next day. Nick Senzel caught me. Ground ball double play just so he ticked my mitt. Catcher's interference. So that was my second one ever in my career.
One time, actually, I take it back. I did get called for another one. And I don't know how this was catcher's interference. Pitch out. Placido Polanco was hitting. Throws his bat at the pitch out. It hits me. Boom. Catcher's interference.
In the body? Hit you in the body?
Hit me in the ribs. I went to catch the ball. All of a sudden, I feel a bat go, BAM! And I throw it to second, whatever. And the umpire's like, catcher's interference. I'm like, wait, what? It was a pitch out. He's like,
I need to see video of that. That is amazing.
You have to find. Someone has to have. Yeah, it was when he was on Detroit. I'll never forget. Stepped out, pitch out, blammo.
Ultimately, this all comes down to receiving. The receiving numbers have been blown up to be a value that can be a value without giving up so many pass balls, without all these catcher's interferences. Receiving values, if taught correctly, can be so huge. But just because a guy cannot throw, cannot block, and then they're going to say, well, he's down on one knee, he's closer to being able to block it. If it's a pitch that's out of the zone anyway, the guy can't get, we're getting into a deeper argument. Receiving values are huge. When it gets to the point where somebody gets hurt or you're giving up runs, because points on the board do matter. I get it, first to second, they're saying is the same value as third to home, and that will always be an argument that I just do not agree with. But statistically, analytically, that's what they're going for. But when you start getting into this territory, somebody's telling this guy the wrong things that are important, because he could do a lot of things that would have increased his receiving value other than move closer to the batter.
Mm-hmm. Show the Todd Father tweet. Unfortunate. Never want to see anyone get hurt. JD was within the rules of where he can be in the batter's box. Contreras' arm went too far out. Hope for speedy recovery. Most of the replies on social media were about coaches enforcing catchers to get closer and steal the low strike. You did have the occasional random photo of JD Martinez and all the angles looking differently, and him having
his foot was in the box. Okay.
Yeah.
His foot was in the box.
He did this twice to Wilson's brother last year, William. I'm reading you what people were saying.
I understand, but his foot was touching a line. He's legal. I remember one time Miguel Cabrera came up to him. Jake Peavy was pitching, and Jake Peavy told me before the game, he goes, listen, I think Cabrera's out of the box. Can you tell the umpire? So he comes up and the line, and he moves back. And I said to the umpire, I said, hey, man, we got to figure this out because he's way back. And then the umpire, and then Miguel got mad, got mad at me. And I'm like, dude, you're out of the box. And so the umpire made the ground crew come out and put the little box thing down, and they redrew the line. But Cabrera was mad at me. And I'm like, dude, I'm standing up for my pitcher, bro. And he was, when they put the line down, he was behind it.
Right.
Right. But he got mad. Why you do that to me, Pop? I'm like, hey, man, I got to stand there too. If I could hit back there by the damn batter's net back there, I'd hit back there too. But I mean, you got to stay within a certain area.
100%. I could not agree. And I remember guys that used to do that. JD did it. JD would do it ever since he started, where he's staying on that back leg and he's really able to take the ball the opposite field. He started doing it. Justin Turner, he would do it. He would actually turn, if this is the line, he would turn his foot. And then as the pitch was coming in, as the pitcher was getting ready, he was moving his back foot and he would end up outside of the box when he went to hit. So you just got to say something. To me, he's well within the rules to be allowed to push that line. But when you are outside of the box, you do exactly what AJ said. You can't let Miguel Cabrera get any kind of advantage because that gives him more time to react to pitches. That makes you back farther, not able to get that low strike. I don't think that's why Miggy's doing it. I think it just gives him more time to be able to catch up to balls. That's part of the gamesmanship.
All right, layer 2. Willson Contreras was hitting 280 with 6 homers, 12 RBIs, an on-base near 400, slugging 551. I think he was the best bat, just going off my head, on the team. 171 OPS plus, 950 OPS.
Yeah. He was their best hitter.
It sucks. He's probably gone for 2 months.
It sucks for the Cardinals. Like I said, it sucks one for Wilson. It sucks for the Cardinals. And it sucks for JD Martinez because he's not his fault. Nope. So people out there, stop saying it's JD Martinez's fault. It's no one's fault. It's an accident. It happens. Willson Contreras was just too close. He just happened to hit him in a bad spot.
Well, then it's his fault.
It's not Willson Contreras' fault.
Well, it's the coach's fault.
It is Willson Contreras' fault because he was too close.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not like, oh, JD tried to hit him.
Right.
Right? Like the umpire. There was a guy on Twitter today saying, oh, it's the umpire's fault. Look how the umpire sets up where the catcher sets up. So if the catcher sets up here, he moves off the catcher. Because there's umpires that would push on you. And I'd be like, hey, dude, you're pushing me. Right? They put their hand on you. And there's a measuring stick where they were. Right? And that's fine. But it's not JD Martinez's fault. It's not the umpire's fault. It's just bad luck. And it sucks. Okay? That's it. It just sucks.
Okay. I have a news flash for everyone in life. Just like you can't blame not doing your homework on your dog or something.
You can if he really does eat your homework.
I guess so. You cannot blame everything on an umpire. Not everything. Some things, maybe even a lot of things in baseball. Not everything.
I feel like that hurts you to say that. I feel like you want to blame.
You think I'm the guy going after an ump? I just like, balls to be balls and strikes to be strikes. And our first guest is ready for us on FT Live. He is the closer. I got it. I know he's at the door. He is the closer for the Washington Nationals, doing a great job this year for a Nats team, making some noise, but maybe not. Let's talk to Kyle Finnegan about it right now. Kyle, great to have you on. I say maybe not because I feel like no one's talking about your team. We have said how the rebuild has gone really well, and this team is, I think, still in third place right now in the NL East. Do you feel like the Washington Nationals are underrated right now? And how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, guys. Yeah, I think we're, I said last night, we feel like we're kind of lurking in the shadows a little bit. Inside our clubhouse, we know what we can do and we know how good we are. And the pieces that we've acquired over these last few years are really starting to come to fruition. And we're having a lot of fun. This is my 5th year here, and I feel like this is the most fun that I've had playing ball for the Nats. So it's exciting what we have going on in the clubhouse, and we've been able to play some really clean, really good baseball as of late.
What is that? Because we always talk about clubhouse environment. We just talked about it with the Phillies yesterday. What is that? How is that different in the 5 years that you've been here?
Yeah, I think maybe in the past we have hoped to win, and now we're starting to expect to win. And, when you play with that confidence and that swagger, and we've got a lot of young guys who are starting to come into their own, and they can just go out there and let it fly. And they keep the old guys on their toes, and they bring that energy every day. And we just feel like we're never out of it. And we've had a lot of come behind wins, really good wins. And I think that carries over into the clubhouse, start having a lot more fun, keeping it light. And like I said, we go out there expecting to win every night.
How has that changed, though? David Martinez hasn't changed, right? He's the same guy that he was from when you first got there. Is it just bringing in better, newer players? Is it just putting guys in better positions to succeed? What is it? Because you said, you go out there and try to win every night. Every team tries to win every night, supposedly. But what's the difference? Because, it's still Rizzo, it's still Davey Martinez, it's still a lot of the same people there.
Well, I think it's the players that we have are starting to get more comfortable at the big league level. We had a lot of really young guys. And you guys know your first couple of years, you're just trying to stick around and establish yourself and not go back down to the minor leagues and, whatever your case may be. And we've got guys that feel trusted now at their positions, and they can just go out there and let it fly and play hard. And like you've seen it with CJ Abrams and Luis Garcia, these guys are really elevating their game. And, we've had really good individual performances that have helped us win games. And I think that has a lot to do with guys getting more comfortable at the big league level.
All right, so you're the closer now. We can say that, right? You're officially the closer of the Washington Nationals. We might use him, we might not, right? You're the closer, correct? Have you come up with a fire entrance yet, or what? We need an entrance. We need something. We need a song. We need scoreboards. We need all kinds. So let's go. What is it?
I'm ready for it. We got those new LED lights at the stadium, and you've seen some of the stuff around the league that looks really cool. So, I'm ready for whatever they throw my way. I've been using the rock, the harder intro music. So I think we could play with that a little bit with those new LED lights and maybe black it out. I like that.
Are you allowed? We've asked plenty of people. Are you allowed to be the only one that has the, walkout music, lights turning off, or you think it'd be a cool crescendo to boom, your 8th inning guy comes out there. He's ready to go. He's got his thing. Your 7th inning guy's ready to go. Boom, he comes out. He's got a little fire on the scoreboard. Or is it only for the closer who's leading the league in saves?
I think every situation is different, maybe.
No, bullshit. Bullshit.
No.
You know why?
No,
Because
no,
Kraft
no.
wants the backup catcher
Let
to
him.
have like his own entrance. If the starting catcher gets
Let
pitch
him.
run for, oh, here comes Erik Kratz to catch the ninth, down 7 runs. Right? Like, no, it's the closer, dude. Everyone is there to see the starter, and they want the home team to win, and then they want the closer to come in to do the ninth inning and get them out of it. So, boom, here it comes. The music hits. Stone Cold Steve Austin, the freaking glass breaks, and here comes Kyle Finnegan in to close out the fucking game for the Nationals.
No, I love that. Going to the places that do that for their closer, like, it's different. Like, it's really, really cool. And, maybe we'll get something going. But, the Edwin Diaz in New York and I saw Helsley's in St. Louis, and it's like you feel a different energy when that's going on in the stadium. It's something special.
Get off of AJ's lawn. That's it. You just got to get off his lawn. It's always been the closer. It's always ever since Hoffman and Rivera were coming out. It's always been the closer. Nobody else can have any fun. Just the guys who are going to make money in arbitration.
No, the setup guys make cash now too. So no,
they do now. They do now. You're right.
No, that's not true at all. But listen, I'm all for things being special. Like, I'm all for certain people get certain rules for them. They get certain, perks for being the closer. Listen, if Kyle goes out, God forbid, and blows a save, guess where all the reporters go? They don't go to the 8th inning guy. They go to Kyle and say, Kyle, man, you had a 2-run lead in the ninth. You gave up a 3-run homer. What happened? Boom, here's the mic. Oh, well, my song didn't hit right. Right? They don't go to the 7th inning guy. They don't go to the 7th inning guy and say, man, you came in with a tie game, you gave it up. Sometimes they do. But people only really remember the starter and the closer. That's why I feel like it's special. The starter has his little thing, and then when the closer comes in, it should be fire. Like Doval in San Fran, Duran in Minnesota, right? There are some ones out there now. So you got some lofty expectations, Kyle, and I can't wait. You could get them to put the things that put the stuff on the field, and you could have cherry blossoms on the field as you run out, come out to some kind of song, right? It's like, oh, the door opens and cherry blossoms explode, like the City Connects you guys have been rocking.
I'm all in for that. I'm trying to come in like Kenny Powers hanging off the bullpen door.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about, with a cape, right? You should have a cape, right? Yeah. Maybe ride a bull in, yeah, look at me, yeah.
For sure.
That's what I'm talking about.
We got the bullpen cart, but let's get some live animals in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
You could get Teddy Roosevelt. You could ride on. He could piggyback you in or something like that because he's not allowed to win the president's race.
Yep.
All right.
I'm in. Come work for our promo.
There, exactly. AJ can cut a good promo.
Screech, Jason Worth looking Screech can fly you in.
All right. So besides that, Kyle, if you were commissioner of baseball for a day, what would you do? What's one thing that you really want to see in the sport? One thing you really want to see changed? One thing you really want to bring out more?
Man, I'm a little bit of a traditionalist, so the rule changes. Maybe I'd be in favor of rolling some of those back. I like with the whole umpire thing. I like the human error element of our game. So I'm hoping that stuff sticks around, and I'm not sold on the automated strike zone. So I would try and put a stop on that stuff.
Wait, so let me just paint a picture for you, okay? You spend your whole life working to get to this moment. You're closer for the Nationals. You guys are back in the playoffs. It's game 7. You've got strike 3 on the outside corner. Ball 4. It walks in a run or some shit, and you guys lose the game, and your whole dream of winning a World Series is shot because a very obvious call was blown. Are you okay with that?
That's the way it goes. I think of it from the other side too. What if you're on the other end and you get balled and they replay it and it's a strike and the game's over? I think I'm willing to live with the result. If he gets it right, he gets it wrong. I think that's something that I like about the game, that there's a little bit of human error to it.
Even if you're Galarraga and you could have had a perfect game except the guy was safe?
That's,
There's
got nothing for you there.
Yeah, poor Jim Joyce.
Well, there are scenarios here. Like, what if the ump thinks, oh, Kyle Finnegan, he hasn't done this in the playoffs before. I'm going to give benefit of the doubt to, a Pujols type of player at the dish. Or it's Soto, right? Oh, he walks all the time. I think it was borderline, so I'm going to give it to Soto. It's like the famous Wyatt Langford at bat from about a few weeks ago where every pitch was wider than the next. And he was like, yeah, rookie, you're striking out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just something that we have within our game. The veterans that have done it earn a little bit of respect, and the young guys have to fight to try and get that.
Exactly, just like the closer. Exactly right. That's right. Mm-hmm. Kratz doesn't understand.
I do understand. I'm just progressive. I go to an NBA game and more than one guy gets music. But anyway, let's talk about Kyle Finnegan. Can you believe that you were 28 when you first made your debut in the big leagues?
Yeah, it's wild. I still kind of feel like, when you're a young player, you struggle with, like, do I belong here? Am I good enough? It took me so long to get here that I'm still in that, like, prove myself mindset. So even though I've established myself here the last few years, like, I feel like I still have room for improvement and stuff to prove. And I'm still as hungry as I was when I was 22, my first full season. So it was a long, wild journey, lots of years in the minors, lots of winter ball, just trying to stick around and prove myself. And, to see where I'm at now is really, really cool.
Talk about that a little bit more. Talk about what the end of a season looks like for you when you don't get called up, when you have another good year in AAA or in AA, but maybe you were a little bit of time on the IL and now you're like, okay, now I got to go to winter ball. Because a lot of guys that we have on here, superstars come on, they got no idea about winter ball. To me, I loved winter ball. I loved everything that it encompassed, but I also love the fact that you were able to put yourself in situations that you don't get to put yourself in the minor leagues. Whether it's your fault or not, winter ball is about winning. So talk about, like, that transition of, like, all right, well, I'm going to shut it down for about 2 weeks and I got to ramp it back up because I'm about to eat some chimichangas in Mexico.
Yeah, you definitely learn, like, what you need to get yourself ready because you're very much on your own. And like you said, the entirety of every game is focused on winning, where maybe sometimes it's not that way in the minor leagues. As a reliever, maybe you have, like, some sort of schedule, like you're going to throw one inning every 3 days and whatever the case may be. And that's not how it is in the big leagues. And that's how it is in winter ball. So you learn how to prepare yourself to be ready every single night because, even if you're not feeling 100%, you're in there because you're the guy that they're paying to be there. So, and that's how it is in the big leagues. You got to be ready every night. If you're the guy, you're the guy, and you got to go out there and figure it out. And I think that really helped me prepare to be ready when I finally did make my debut. And I guess some of the younger relievers kind of struggle with their availability, and that's something I've really been able to lean on these last few years.
Kyle, what's winter ball? I don't know winter ball. What's winter ball?
We can't all be 20-year big leaguers,
I mean, I went to winter ball. I went to 19. Hawaii. I went to Hawaii and Arizona for winter 20. Ball. Doesn't that count? Doesn't Hawaii and Arizona count for winter ball? That doesn't count?
Mm-mm.
That sounds like a vacation.
AJ was so against winter ball. He didn't even hit in the cage during the winter between the season. He waited for spring training. So that's how against winter ball he was. You have any good winter ball stories? You have any one that you just, like, you sit there and you're like, holy cow, I cannot believe I was in the rice fields of San Francisco and the lights go out and 3 players didn't come back after the lights came back on?
I remember I went to spring training for the Mexican Winter League, and it was in southern Arizona. And I show up and check into the team hotel, which was pretty on par for like a minor league hotel, nothing too crazy. And in the room were these pieces of computer paper that were cut out that said 1 ticket to the Mexican baseball fiesta, and that was like our meal ticket. And we went to the Golden Corral that night, and we show up and hand in our little piece of paper that they printed out, and we got to eat there for free for dinner.
That's awesome. But the Golden Corral is the best buffet in the USA, not in Mexico.
I was in. I was all in on that.
That's
Hey,
awesome.
Kyle, question for you, swinging back to the Nats, former teammate of yours. Do you remember when Soto was there and he was turning down those big deals? Like, did you guys say anything in the clubhouse, either to him or amongst yourselves? Like, yo, did you see the report? Dude just turned down $440.
Yeah, I mean, those conversations were had. It's like that is a lot of money. But if there's anybody that might be shortchanging, it could be him. Like, turning that amount of money down at the time seems crazy, but now you look at it and maybe not so much.
Yeah, true. All right, I got a couple finisher, more generic baseball questions for you. Number one, if you didn't play baseball for a living, what would you do right now for work?
I would probably start my professional golf career. I'm working on that a little bit. It's off to a pretty slow start, but I think I would have to stay in some type of sport. I got to be on the move.
What's your handy?
I'm a solid 13.9 right now, but I haven't been playing for that long, so I'm all right with that.
And he's a late bloomer, so it's going to change.
That's a question everyone's going to ask you. What's your handy? What's your handicap?
He gets better every year. Doesn't matter what age. When did you fall in love with baseball?
As soon as I could walk. My dad played some minor league baseball, so that's what we did. I had 3 brothers. We all played baseball. We all, wrestling in the basement and football and baseball. Any sport with a ball, we were out there just beating each other up.
And last one for me, and then AJ's got one more. Besides your own team, which team has the nicest uniforms in baseball?
Oh, man. I'm a fan of, the powder blues. I like the St. Louis powder blues and the Toronto powder blues. I think those are cool.
Phillies have powder blues too, right, Kratz?
They do.
He skipped them. They happen to be in a division where they face each other.
Division,
yeah,
that's good.
Can't go
I like good hate. I like that.
I like that too.
All right, that's a perfect question because my question kind of goes along with that. Now I know you were born in Detroit, right? Born in Detroit. At least that's what your Wikipedia says. So you're born in Detroit. When did you move to Texas?
Yeah, pretty early. By the time I was 3, I think we lived in Houston. So born in Detroit, but I'm a Texan.
Okay, because we had a huge debate about this. Best City Connects, and what do you think of Detroit City Connects that just came out? Since you're a native of Detroit and all.
I'm not a huge fan of the hat, Detroit across the hat. I think the Motor City thing, I think you saw that coming. They were going to use something like that. I don't hate the jerseys, but I'm not a fan of the hat.
Okay. And what about is your guys is the best with the cherries?
Public consensus says it. We like playing in them. I like the cream pants are kind of cool. And the little flare with the pink on there. You can't lose to a team in pink, and we've been playing pretty well in them.
Yeah,
great.
I like them. They're very creative.
I like theirs. They're
really nice. I would wear those at a festival.
Yeah, of course you would. No, I like them. I think they're good. They fit DC too. Because if you've ever been to DC, there's cherry blossom.
Cherry blossom season is a vibe. Kyle, this was great, man. Hope you enjoyed it. It was great to have you on here for the first time. Keep doing your thing out there. It's a fun team to watch.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Kyle Finnegan, closer for the Washington Nationals, and coming soon, a Kyle Finnegan epic entrance.
Oh, I can't wait. We deserve credit for that one.
But we got to be creative. We can't just ask him. We need to give him like.
He should give us. He should give us he should give us full creative on it,
and just surprise him. Ninth inning, he got a 1-run lead, and here comes Kyle Finnegan
to the Beatles.
I mean, if Kratz gets what he wants,
to Jack Johnson.
Yeah, well, if
eating banana pancakes.
If Kratz gets what he wants, and the 7th, the 8th inning guys, all that.
Dude, it waters it down, bro.
If that happens, you might start getting contracts where the closers write in that they can't be upstaged. That's a thing in music. Yeah. DJ plays, and they'll sign deals with venues, and they will say the opener can't play certain songs. Volume has to only be at X level. They've got all of that. The real thing.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I'm fine with that. Make it a crescendo. The 9th inning gets
the special treatment. Yeah.
Make it a crescendo throughout the game. We're building up to the victory.
Right. I'm more with Kratz than I am with AJ on this. I want all the fireworks.
Well, that means I'm right then. So thank you.
That means it's going to happen if Scott's with me.
Yeah. Hey, you're watching FT. We're live Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 Eastern. Subscribe, like this video that you're watching right now, and make sure you check out
my heart
foulterritoryshop.com. Have this thing right now, you can't get over it. foulterritoryshop.com. Hoodies, t-shirts, hats, wristbands. I'm wearing my purple one today, actually. A little cherry blossom vibe, even though I guess cherry blossoms are pink, but
they're not purple.
Yeah, whatever. Stickers.
Red buds are purple.
What's purple?
Red buds. The flowers that come out are purple.
Sure. And trucker hats. Yesterday's action. All right, couple notable games from yesterday. First off, Miguel Rojas, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Max Muncy, and the Dodgers picked up a dub, no surprise, over the Miami Marlins. We'll start with the Heat. Rojas was motioning at the Marlins dugout, kind of just waving his hand at them. But then our guy Clint Pasillas, part of Dodgers territory, was all over it. And he said that on Miggy's Instagram, he had a clever little reply, which I'll read for you in just a sec. He said he was motioning at, Brian De La Cruz. He said on his Instagram story, "Nah, I wasn't chirping. I was telling my boy Brian De La Cruz that he's ugly." Sure.
All the time.
Yeah. Don't you always do that at first? Like when you got on first after a knock, didn't you always look at your last team, especially when one dude just completely called you out, even though most other people say that you're a great teammate, and you say, "You're ugly" to one of your other friends?
Well, first of all, Jazz was in center field, so he wasn't yelling at Jazz.
That's true.
But no, this happens a lot. People get on first, and their buddies are on the other team, and they're chirping at him. He chirps back. They just caught it on camera because he was on first, and he got a little demonstrative. But I think this is great. This is just him talking to his old teammates. Dude, he's not talking trash to his old team. He doesn't have to. He's on the Dodgers, dude. They're the Marlins. It's a huge difference.
Even if he was talking trash, who cares? That's fine too.
I agree.
Either way, it's fun.
They wanted to portray it. They wanted to portray it that Jazz was yelling at Jazz. It didn't. No, he said he was playing in the game.
It's May 7th, the day of that game. We're looking for something. But
apparently Yamamoto threw a no-hitter before the game started. Wait, what?
Well, you can always make predictions, folks. You can always make predictions. It's fun. You can bet on them too and see how you do. Yamamoto threw 19 consecutive. I'm not going there. I'm sorry. We get all the national media attention. I'd like to keep it that way. Yamamoto threw 19 consecutive strikes to start the game, most by a Dodger pitcher since pitch tracking began in 2000. He went 8 innings. This is what you want, okay? Sure, gave up a home run, first batter of the game, first pitch, whatever. His final line, 8 innings, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. That is what you pay all that money for. Because that dude sometimes was going 130 plus pitch-wise overseas. And you're not going to do that here in the United States or in Major League Baseball. Pitching coaches would have a heart attack. But 8 damn innings, so you only need to use 1 reliever, Kratz. That's what you signed up for.
Man, that is big time. But my question to both of you guys would be, would you rather have him going 6 with 11 punch-outs or 8 with 5 punch-outs? My opinion, I need that 8 innings. You give me 8 innings, even if it's 3 punch-outs, it makes a world of difference. There is 7 other guys, if they're carrying 8 in their bullpen, there's 7 other guys that do not pitch and are fresh for tomorrow night, for whatever happens. Well, for tonight's game now, for today's game. That is a huge value.
Agreed. Also, he was working the fastball pretty much wherever he wanted, right? You got to remember, the expectations are sky high, and then people kind of chilled out once he had the 1 inning to start his major league career in Korea against the Padres, where he did not have the fastball command. Y'all good?
Scott broke my earpieces. So, yeah.
I got mad. You guys were yelling at me this week. Max Muncy hit a home run again.
What kind of home run?
A home run with all the dudes on the bases.
Yeah, that's not a home run. That's as Jose Salas used to say in rookie ball, that's a glam sclam. He couldn't say grand slam, so he would say glam sclam. That's a big.
It was nice.
And it just so happened somebody was on our show yesterday and hit a glam sclam.
Yeah, I called it. I said he would homer.
You did?
Yeah.
I mean, say it with your locks one time then.
Well, I'll call it, and then you could record it, and then whenever someone hits a homer, just play it and say, I called it.
Just play it.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll do some taping. We'll do some
You
pre-tapes
got to do
tomorrow.
a bunch of reads. Exactly. Actually, the biggest moment for me in yesterday's game was Gavin Lux hitting his first home run since August of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of flying under the radar. He's playing a pretty good second base. From the games I've watched, and then I looked at numbers, he's above average on defensive metrics. The throwing problems are not there at second base. It's a different throw. You can be a little bit more athletic with the throw and not do the whole shortstop windup. That was a good sign to see. You get to figure some things out and learn some things in games like this when you're playing a lower level team. That was big for Lux to get on the board.
True. Listen, Gavin Lux needs to be a player for the Dodgers. I believe that, and he should be a player because he's too talented. Plus, he came on our show and was awesome, so I really just want him to do well. But, yeah, I hope he does well.
Okay. Next up, game of the night. There was so much energy for Imanaga and then the Michael Busch walk-off in the rain. Imanaga is now officially a ticket, okay? He's a ticket. And this is why we talk about pitchers going deep into games, establishing themselves as stars, because what will happen is it's Tuesday, it's early May in Chicago, there's potential rain in the forecast, and yet still, if you're a baseball fan, you might get home and mom or dad or brother or sister or friend says, we got to go to the Cubs game tonight. It's Imanaga night. That's what's happening right now. Dude is freaking fun to watch. Wears his emotions on his sleeve in a fun way. Like, he'll make a shitty pitch and be like, Imanaga, what? He was sick again. Seriously, he does that. I mean, I watched most of the start. He is so freaking fun to watch. 7 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned, a walk, 8 punch outs. He barely walks anyone. He's going up against a pretty good Padres lineup. He's freaking awesome. So that was a show. Obviously, it ended with a great walk-off homer by Michael Busch. What a trade pickup for them. Cubs front office maybe didn't do as much as some people wanted them to do, but what they did do was nail their pickups this offseason. And by the way, I think he had a season-high 15 whiffs on the splitter and 9 fly balls. And here's where things get interesting, Kratz. It's getting warmer in the country. And this is what everyone said. Not everyone. A lot of people said Shota Imanaga is going to have a nice start, and then he's going to start getting torched because he gives up so many fly balls, and they're going to leave the yard. They're lazy fly balls, dude. They're pop-ups. They are lazy fly balls into the outfield. It's like you describe this better, I guess, than I can. They think that it's going to end up lower than it is, and because it stays a little bit higher, they're getting under it. Did I describe that correctly?
Induced vertical break. One, it comes from, there's a really good article that was put out. I wish I would remember who wrote it. They just put it out talking about Imanaga's successful, quote, slow fastball, and how his velocity is not in the, prototypical 99 to 100 range for the results that he's getting. He's going to sit, he'll even run it down to 91. I saw a 94 early in the season. I've been seeing a lot of 92s and 93s. But it's the perceived velocity and the induced vertical break. You might say, what on earth are you talking about? All it is a ball will automatically drop a certain amount, and that is the induced vertical break. If your ball does not drop that much, you will be swinging under the ball because you are trained from your hundreds of thousands of swings that your eye sees a ball at one spot and you will swing at another spot where the ball is going to be. Well, it's not with his pitch. And that's why you see Manny Machado swing and miss, strike 3 in his first at bat on a pitch middle in. Machado handles balls like that, especially at 93 miles an hour. So his ball is playing at more like 93, 97.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why I asked you. Could not have stated it any better. Assad and Taillon also pitching really well for this team. Bellinger's back, he homers. So Cubs are in a good place right now. Great walk-off win for them. We'll be right back, and we'll talk Rockies.
All right.
Unified Healing is sponsoring this episode of Foul Territory. Unified Healing is an innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or EE System. This technology promotes wellness and deep relaxation, and there are hundreds of locations across the globe. Interested in experiencing the EE System technology for yourself? Go to unifydhealing.com/foul to learn more and find a center near you. That's UNIFYD healing.com/FOUL. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including EE System. We're not talking enough about the Colorado Rockies. Take it for what it is. Patrick Saunders from the Denver Post joining us right now. He is the Rockies beat writer. Bless you, bless you. Patrick, great to have you on here. And I'm going to open up the floor to you to start how you would describe this Colorado Rockies season. If you just saw someone walking the streets of Denver and they were like, oh, that's what you do. How are the Rockies this year? What would you tell them?
I would tell them in a nutshell, it's a bad team that is in the stages of rebuilding, but the rebuilding right now is not going very well. They're coming off a 103 loss season, and they unfortunately are on a road to be even worse this year.
So what does a bad team look like? What does a bad team look like preseason? When the season starts? What do you tell them they're bad at?
Well, with the Rockies, you have a pretty long list, right? They're both. Well, I'm sorry, I'm just being honest. Their bullpen right now is really hit and miss, and their offense is terrible. Let's face it. I mean, considering that they play in Coors Field, they just got shut out at home again last night. The offense has no dynamics. There's no identity to it. They're not a slugging team. They're not a fast team. They strike out too much. It's just a team right now, guys, that has kind of lost its way and is trying to find its new identity. I tell you what, it's, people are thinking, okay, rebuild, maybe 2025, 2026. Crossing our fingers that happens. But right now, it's just not good right now, guys. And there's so much blame to go around, from the pitchers to the front office to the coaches. The Rockies are simply a bad team right now.
I guess I'm accused of being pro player because I was a player. But how can the same front office continue to stay around it seems like it's the good old boys club where they're just like, well, actually, we've changed a lot of positions, when in reality, this person has just moved to here, who's then moved this person to here. It's all the same. It seems like it's a group think of doing the same thing. And since we swept them out of the playoffs and they scored 2 runs in the 9th inning, the Rockies haven't even sniffed the playoffs. According to their owner, they were hoping to be a 500 team, I think, either last year or the year before.
Yeah, it was last year. Dick Monfort said that. You're exactly right. You nailed it. And I just had an interview over the weekend, was posted, a Q&A with GM Bill Schmidt, and I must confess, I neglected to ask him that question. We went over a lot of things, but I neglected to ask him, how would you evaluate your job in your front office? But I've been saying this for a lot of years, guys. The Rockies are loyal to a fault. They keep things in-house, which if you're, I suppose, the St. Louis Cardinals or a team with grand tradition, that's fine. But the Rockies are not that organization. I'm not saying they sweep everybody away, but in my opinion, owner Dick Monfort needs to get out of the way of the baseball business of it. I think they need to hire a dynamic president from outside who would come in and redo this organization, starting with the front office. And I've been saying that for years, and I don't think it's ever been more evident than it is right now.
How much is it complacency, though? They sell 25,000, 30,000 seats a game every single night. They draw 2 to 3 million fans every single year. They have Dinger, right? They have the Triceratops mascot. I mean, right? They have Todd Helton's place out in left field, right? People come there. They're like, oh, it's so pretty here. They have the Christmas trees out in center field, the little fountain. How much is it just complacency? Because you look at, like Kratz said, they haven't done anything for, what was it, 2017, Kratz? What was that, 2017? 2018? Right? They traded away Arenado. Charlie Blackmon's kind of been the linchpin. He's struggling this year. Like, at some point, someone's got to lose their job, right? And Bud Black is a great guy. I'm not calling for Bud Black's head, but, at some point, do we need to go with a younger guy, right? Do we need to revamp the farm system? So how much of it is just complacency?
That's a key element. And that's what fans around Colorado, hardcore baseball fans. It's not like back in Philly or Chicago or New York or anything like that. But there are some hardcore baseball fans here, and they ask that question all the time. But you're exactly right. The Rockies, even last year, 103 loss season, the worst season in franchise history, they still drew, I think the average was over 32,000 a game, because Coors Field is a magical place on a summer night in Colorado. You have tons of fans coming in from vacation, from other cities who want to see their team. It's a great family ballpark, but the product on the field isn't any good. And I do think that until tickets stop being sold and people stop showing up, the Rockies are probably still going to be complacent, because Dick Monfort denies this, but winning does not seem to be a high priority for this organization. Now, I'm not saying that's true for everybody. Certainly Bud Black wants to win, and the players want to win, no question. And I'm sure GM Bill Schmidt wants to win. But the way they're going about it, it's not working, and they've got to make some changes.
Have you ever asked their front office, the people who make decisions, GMs, whoever it is, president of baseball operations, about their analytical department? Because when I talked to very significant players who I played with that played with Colorado and they went to another organization, they went, you guys have all this information all the time? How could the Rockies be so far behind in an advantage that 28 of the other teams, I know there's 2 other teams that don't have the analytical department. How could are they still that far behind, and are they okay with that?
Yes, they are still that far behind. They've tried to make some strides. They finally opened what they call the lab down in Scottsdale, their spring training home, which is state of the art, so good for them. But their staff is minuscule compared to some of the teams, particularly Tampa Bay or some of the other heavy analytic teams. It is a problem. And I have heard that from other players too, is they love how they're treated in Colorado. It's a wonderful clubhouse. They love the vibe. but they go away and they think, wow, we don't have the cutting edge tools that other organizations do. And yes, I have asked that question. I did a big 4-part series at the end of last year where we called it the Rocky Way. What is the Rocky Way? And one of our segments included the analytics department. And my contention was when you play at altitude, the way the Rockies do in the most unique environment in Major League Baseball, and it presents difficulties. There's no question about it. But it also presents opportunities if you take advantage of them. And why the Rockies don't invest in the analytics side to find out how they can make Coors Field, a huge home field advantage, it's beyond me. So you hit it right on the head. You guys have done your homework. The problems facing the Rockies right now are a lot. And it starts with owner Dick Monfort. There's no question about it.
Hey, like Leolia said, the problems here are multifold, okay? So the problems with the Rockies are multifold. But here's something I asked this already, and you can tell me, Patrick, what you think. I feel like the Rockies, listen, I know the Rays are special, but they brought in Joe Madden, and they started doing crazy, stupid shit, right? And they were like, let's try this, and let's try this. Oh, and we'll try this, and maybe some of it works. And then everyone started shifting, right? Remember Joe Madden shifted, and then everyone's like, oh, cool, we're all going to shift. Oh, we're going to do an opener. Oh, now everyone tried the opener trick, right? So that's the thing to me. Like, the Rockies need a new way of thinking, a new way. And like you said, bring in Coors Field, make it an advantage, figure out like maybe the Blake Street Bombers are the way to go, right? And just have a team that hits home runs at home and you win 60 games at home and you do okay on the road and you figure it out in the postseason. But to me, they got to do something radical because what they're trying, like they need to figure out if sinker ballers are better, if high fastball guys are better, right? If curveballs are better or splits, but it's like they do none of this. So is it better for them just to go like completely radical off the rails and just say, hey, we're going to try everything. Maybe some stuff will stick.
Right point. They tried a couple of those options. The Blake Street Bombers in the early days of the franchise, they bludgeoned teams to death at Coors Field. They only made the playoffs once in '95, but at least they were a competitive team near 500 every year. And in this day and age, the expanded playoffs, that may be enough to get you in. I mean, look at the Diamondbacks last year. They went away from that. They completely lost their identity. In 2012, they did go radical. They went with what they called a piggyback rotation. It was a 4-man rotation, and then they limited the innings for the starters and tried to build up. It wasn't really an opener, but that failed miserably. Jim Tracy, the manager at the time, hated it. One of the reasons he walked away from his contract and left $1.4 million on the table way back in 2012. They right now are kind of in a traditional mode because when Bud Black was first hired and came in 17 and 18, they had a really talented team. They had good young pitching, but that only lasted a couple of years. But I think you're right. I mean, what would it hurt them to try to go radical? One of the things that amazes me is as big of a ballpark as Coors Field is, and their problems hitting on the road traditionally their entire existence, why the Rockies don't have more speed and utilize that speed to get doubles and triples at Coors Field and utilize speed on the road is beyond me, because they, if I'm not mistaken, they rank last in stolen bases in the majors, and that's been an ongoing trend. For a team that has a huge ballpark and needs to be athletic, they have not been. Now they have some young prospects coming up who are, so I'm crossing my fingers those guys are going to come through for this team. But to your point, the same old is not working in Colorado.
Hey, Patrick, what do you think of Kris Bryant right now with this team? And actually, I have a solution. If you went back a few years and they didn't sign Kris Bryant and they even spent like a little bit of that money on an analytics department, that would have been, a nice little decision. If they don't feel like they want to invest in that because it's expensive, you could have just, not invested in a player or two that's frankly not making much of a difference.
It's a great point. I was scratching my head the moment they signed Kris Bryant. I've heard through agents and other people in the industry, Rockies spent at least $35 million, maybe $50 million more than they should have for KB. He's been hurt all 3 years. He's on the IL again right now. He's hitting 149 this year in limited playing time. The Kris Bryant thing, it gets kind of to the heart of the Rockies, and it goes to owner Dick Monfort, whose fingerprints were all over that signing. When the Rockies botched the Nolan Arenado situation, ended up trading him, the backlash here in Colorado was enormous. And in my mind, and Dick Monfort has never told me this, but other people have told me this, the reason they gave Kris Bryant 7 years, $182 million and overpaid for him was because Dick Monfort, he wanted a marquee All-American style player, and he thought Kris Bryant was that guy. I mean, the Rockies nearly drafted him in 2013 until the Cubs came in a pick ahead of him and scooped him up. And that is the primary reason, rather than invest in analytics or go for two players at a smaller rate or whatever, they went with Dick Monfort's gut, and it's turned out to be, could be, one of the worst free agent signings in Colorado sports history. And this gets back to kind of what you guys were talking about earlier. The Rockies, in my opinion, they're way too sentimental an organization. I get it that you want to honor great players and you want to hang on to guys, and that's all great. And, you know, Todd Helton, they've treated him well and he's going to the Hall of Fame, but love Charlie Blackmon to death. But the Rockies gave him a 1 year, $13 million contract, when what they should have done is said, Charlie, if you want to come back, great, but why don't you go shop yourself around, find out what you can get, and if you really want to come back here, we'll talk, and we'll make you an offer. I mean, I think Andrew McCutchen, who I consider very similar to Charlie Blackmon, what's he making, $5 million with the Pirates this year at the end of his career? That would be more reasonable. But the Rockies' two most highly paid players right now are Kris Bryant and Charlie Blackmon, and neither one are giving this team anything right now.
It sucks. Sucks for Rocky fans, but I'm not in charge. It's not my money, so they can spend it however they want.
True.
Patrick, I always ask this question, and it's kind of an argument we've had, not an argument, but a discussion we've had on here. Are you a fan of, when you play at Coors Field, bring your outfielders in and take away the bloops, or play your outfielders back and try to take away doubles and triples? Now, for me, on teams that had success there, we brought our outfielders in because the bloops are what hurts you. If it went over your head, it was probably a home run anyways. So we would try to take away the balls in front of us, you know, the flares that fall in. Then the next guy pops one. Instead of it being a solo homer, it's a two-run homer. Your thoughts on something like that?
I agree with you completely. Coors Field is the biggest outfield in the majors in terms of overall size. Blue pits kill you. And despite what a lot of people around the country think, yes, Coors Field gives up home runs, but it's not as home run friendly as, say, Cincinnati or Philly or right field in Yankee Stadium. It's the doubles, the triples, and like you said, it's the bloop singles that kill you, and it kills the pitchers. I agree with you. What they need to do is bring guys in a little bit and get outfielders who have the athleticism, the speed, the skill to go back on balls. Now, that's easier said than done because the ball flies at Coors off the bat, and line drives can be an adventure. But for instance, Gold Glove center fielder Brenton Doyle is exactly the kind of outfielder the Rockies need. He covers a huge amount of territory. He's very good at going back on the ball. He's good at coming in at the ball, and he can do that to where he can play shallow enough to take away some of those cheapies and maybe rob some guys of doubles or triples into the vast expanse of the outfield. They're hoping Nolan Jones in left field, and Nolan right now is on the IL as well. They're hoping he can become that kind of guy. Right field isn't quite as much of a concern, but you're exactly right. That's one of the misnomers about Coors Field. People think it's all about home runs. It's not. It's about pitchers who give up a walk or two and then give up a single, and the next thing you know, they give up a cheap bloop hit behind second base or into shallow right or whatever, and suddenly a good game by the pitcher is now the opposition scored 2 runs and the Rockies are in a hole. That happens all the time.
Okay, so Patrick, I have to ask you this question because it's bothered me for years. I don't know exactly what year it was, but I'm sure you were covering the team. When I was with the White Sox, we had Juan Pierre in left field and we had Brent Lilliquist in center field. We lost 2 games in a row, walked off. Or no, one was a walk-off. The other was just where a guy scored from first on a single. Do you remember these games? One was Tulo. I know Tulo scored. It was 3-2. He was stealing, and he scored. Our center fielder was playing in the Christmas trees, Lilliquist. And the other one, the guy was stealing. And Juan Pierre, everyone listen, I love Juan Pierre. He had no arm. They just didn't stop, and they scored. It was like back-to-back games. We gave up 2 runs on singles right at our outfielders, and both times the runner scored. And I'm like, what the fuck are we doing?
Give me the year, and I'll try to remember.
I'm trying to. It had to be like 9 or 10, 2009 or 2010. It was.
Okay, if it was 10, I was off the beat for a couple years. I was an editor,
Here.
so maybe
June 2011 is June 2011 was it?
Okay, I was off the beat. I was an editor at the time, so I don't recall. But I can understand that. If you look at, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but if you look at cycles, the players have hit. Coors Field is by far and away the kingdom for hitting cycles, because you're right. I mean, guys, if you're aware, man, you can just run to daylight at Coors Field, no question about it. It is a very unique place to play. And the Rockies, they need to find a way to make it their home field advantage. Right now, it's not. They have a losing record at home.
Well, Patrick, thanks for the therapy session. There are actually a lot of Rockies fans in the chat that needed it. I got the purple shirt on for the fans, for the Rockies fans. You do a great job. Appreciate the time.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I'll be curious to see if I get any pushback from hardcore Rockies fans or others, powers that be, but I'm just trying to tell it like it is.
No, that's what they appreciate. Trust me. So we'll post some of these on Twitter. Look out for that. Thank you, Patrick. Patrick Saunders. You can follow him at PSaundersDP, the Rockies beat writer for the Denver Post. Now let's get to some picks. BetMGM locks. We got swept yesterday.
You guys suck.
I know. We take the L so that AJ doesn't have to.
You guys suck so bad.
Easiest fate of my life.
Which one?
Yours.
Dude, Bailey Ober got his. The ones Kratz said wouldn't get it. He got it. It was the other guy.
I said he was going to get it. I said Ober was going to get it.
Oh, Hancock struck out.
Hancock.
He struck out 0.
He had 0. 3 or 4. I was like.
Reynaldo Lopez missed it by 1. He had 3 chances.
It's official. We are now up less than AJ's down. So, Jonathan Papelbon, save us.
Lead us.
Foul Territory people, what's up? It's your man making you money. In fact, you know what? I'm going to come up with a new nickname today. I don't care. I give myself new nicknames every day. Today, my name is Parlay Pal. Because I'm going to get you with a 3-game parlay today. And, man, we're just going to keep rolling, baby. Because we go up over 1,000. We playing with house money. So here you go. Today's bet, I got a 3-game parlay. The Dodgers, the Orioles, and Tampa Bay. Well, we know who Tampa Bay's playing. Them White Sox. We know what's going to happen. They're going to lose. We know the Dodgers are playing the Miami Marlins. They suck too. And I like this little Orioles game today just because I think this Beltway rivalry is going to go a little back and forth. Nationals took the game last night. I look at the Orioles take the game today. So there you are, baby. Parlay Pap coming at you. Good luck.
Good stuff, Pap. I'm telling that too. That's a good one. That is not a
Why
fade.
does
That's
he always
a tail.
pick on the White Sox every time?
All right. So what's your counter? Because I've heard you are cooking up something big.
Oh, I got a big one again today, baby.
Okay.
I'm going SGP.
Same game parlay.
Same game parlay. George Kirby and Chris Paddock, both over their strikeouts. 6.5 and 5.5. The same game I picked yesterday, so I'm getting retribution. Add that to Texas and Oakland, the first game over 7.5. First game. They have a doubleheader, scheduled doubleheader. Actually, do I get either game? I think I should get either game.
No.
Well, why did one start?
Both games combined, over 7.5.
No.
First game.
First game.
All right, first game over 7.5. That is at plus 554. I'm putting 500 down. One of these has got to hit one of these days. I nailed the Wordle today, so my luck is changing, and I'm going to be up at the end of the day.
Michael Lorenzen against JP Sears. That has 4-2 written all over it. Yep.
Nope.
Yep. 4-2.
I picked because I do the parlay for the whole FT fam. I picked the second game for you, AJ, because I think that one has a little better chance.
Okay, then I'm changing it to the second game.
No.
Nope. Change it. Change it. Second game.
Wait.
Second game.
Which one do you want? Well, no, it's different odds for the second game.
I think I picked the first game. Let me go to my
BetMGM
application here and figure it out.
All right, Kratz, you're up. We got to run.
Chris Sale facing his old team who strikes out a ton. I'm going over 7.5 Ks. It's a high number. Sale's been averaging over 7 strikeouts a game. He's going to be extra juiced, and when Sale's extra juiced, it's good news. And the Braves are getting the money line. Combined, I think it's plus 175. I'm not 100% on that.
You are correct. I picked that game as well. I've got the Braves winning with Sale. We've got over 5.5 total runs in the game, plus a hundo, 100 to win 100. Nice and simple. I was close on that Sale. Okay, I just wanted to buy it down maybe one. But just ended up staying away from it, Kratz. I expect him to pitch well. You just never know. Against the old team, things get weird sometimes. It's a different game. So anyway, good luck on your picks tonight.
See, I thought that combined both doubleheaders for over 7.5 runs.
That's definitely not a thing. Use the bonus code FOUL, F-O-U-L, when you download the BetMGM app. Sign up and deposit at least $10 into your account. Place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. If that happens, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. If you could only be as excited as Jamie Foxx on that picture. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Ready? Next guest. It's a big week for him. Big week. First time on this show. I heard him on Dodgers territory the other day. The Athletic's Andy McCullough joining us right now. And you can also listen to his podcast, The Roundtable. But that's old news right now, Andy. Great to see you. We're all about the book right now. The last of his kind. A biography, the first of its kind as far as I know, on Clayton Kershaw. And there's a lot of Clayton in there, which I want to dive into because he is a tough cookie with interviews sometimes. It is out yesterday, so you can get it wherever you get your books. Andy, I listen to way too much of your content. I'm going to go against you as I say hello, okay? You said you can get it wherever you buy books. Don't get it on the secondary market. Get it on the first market. That's the only place where you can't get it. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think actually people should just call the library and tell them that they want to read the book. Make the government pay for it.
I like that idea. That's a good idea. Yeah. Let's put that in the library. All right, so let's get right into it, okay? This book will join the famous books that we have on the desk now.
Is he going to send us one? Because I have this one that was sent to me. I have this one that was sent to me.
No, I have a rule.
I have this one that was sent to me.
I have a rule.
Scott's never even opened them. I've read them.
That's not true.
Scott bought them.
All right, we're gonna let Andy. We're gonna let Andy talk. My rule is that I buy the books. We don't need a free book.
I want a free book.
Andy pours his life into this. So, Andy, how are you gonna wow these studious catchers into reading this book? Give me if someone says, "Hey, you got 30 seconds. Sell me. What do you got?"
It would be almost as good as Kratzy's book if he didn't have that hack Tim Brown writing it. How about that?
Ooh-wee! Ooh-wee! Shots fired. I love smoke. Where there's fire, there's smoke.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, I think that, you guys know, like, Kershaw is a historically great player. And, I was able to spend a lot of time with him over the past couple of years to talk about, his career, but also was able to, talk about him about his future, about how long he wants to keep playing, kind of the decisions he made this winter. And so I think it's kind of like an immersive portrait of, a player who a lot of folks believe is the best pitcher of this generation. Certainly, one of the best three. You can debate that, with him and Verlander and Scherzer for a while, obviously. But yeah, and I think for Dodgers fans, it's the definitive account of his time, as the face of the franchise. And I think it would really appeal to, the millions of people in Southern California who can buy books.
What surprised you about all the time that you spent with Clayton doing this and researching? What surprised you the most about him as a person?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think, you have a sense when you're as a beat writer, who people are, but their conversations are a lot more short. They're a lot more targeted. They're a lot less open-ended. And so I always knew him to be a bright guy, but he is way more sort of perceptive and just sort of aware of stuff going on, I think, than, I sort of previously understood. And so it's a sort of thing like, he can watch a pitcher from the other team pitch and within 3 or 4 pitches sort of pick up, is like, oh, is he doing something different with his changeup this year? He just is, he's so sort of like he's able to take in information and figure stuff out, so quickly. And so I just came away like more impressed about that with just, like his understanding of like the ecosystem of the clubhouse and all that sort of stuff. I was, I don't know. It's like making it sound like I thought he was like a dumb guy. I didn't think that, but I was just more taken aback. I was like, oh yeah, you knew about that happened? He's like, yeah, I know. I pay attention to stuff that's going on. He's just so sort of controlled and guarded. I think that, he doesn't, he keeps a lot of things close to the vest, I guess.
How much time do you actually get to spend with him? That's I always wondered. I've seen guys write books. It took Kratz 5 minutes with Tim Brown to write his book. I'm sure you got longer than 5 minutes. So explain what this process is like, because you don't see a lot of Clayton Kershaw opening up like this. So what was the the timeline for this, and how much time did you like go to his house and he cooked you breakfast?
No, he did not cook me breakfast, although I did get an excellent recipe for chicken and rice that his wife Ellen passed along that I have made. It's very good. So I approached him in May of 2022 and kind of explained the project. He was open to doing it. There wasn't a lot of like negotiation and stuff like that. He was good with spending some time and talking for it. And so we met up in the winter of 2022 in Dallas. I spent, some time at his house, at his charities office, and, tended to working out and things like that. I went to a Skechers commercial shoot with him, which was very fun. And then subsequently during the season in 2023, I, visited him in LA and spent a little time at the house there during the World Series. It just so happened that the team, it was in Texas. And so I was able to visit him at his house again there. And so there was probably like, I would say 10 like longer sit downs that, of maybe somewhere from like 20 minutes to 2 hours over the course. I actually haven't toted it all up, but there was about 10 sort of times where we sat down and talked for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Andy, did you ask him why he is the way he is? Like you mentioned being guarded, like why is he guarded, and does he feel media fatigue? I don't know. Like sometimes you're around him and he's just like, I got to do the whole media thing again, because he's been in LA for a long time.
Yeah, I think he by nature is a guarded person. He has a really tight circle of friends. I mean, he's still friends with the same dudes he went to high school with, 20 years ago. I think that the media fatigue aspect of it, it's interesting. Like he builds into his schedule every day, when the days when he's not pitching, like a 4 or 5 minute window where he is at his locker and he's available to talk to the media. And he doesn't do that because he loves interacting with us, but he does that because he understands that is part of the responsibility of being Clayton Kershaw, especially, in previous years when he wasn't sort of rehabbing and stuff like that he needed to be available. And so he tries to handle those interactions basically as efficiently and politely as possible. It's not dissimilar to like Derek Jeter, who, everyone always said, oh, Derek Jeter never says anything. No, but he like talked all the time. And so he developed that almost as like a defense mechanism. And so one of the, the great things about getting to do this is like getting outside of that environment where he doesn't have somewhere better to be. I'm not bothering him at work. That's one of the weird things about like the baseball media ecosystem is like players are in general overwhelmingly professional and available and good to talk, but it's also like they got stuff to do. They got to hit, they got to go to meetings. And so you're kind of catching people at these weird times where they're not always able to, think about stuff as deeply as maybe they would like to. And so this book, I think, presents him outside of that context and is richer for it.
Makes sense. Listen, I love Clayton. He's one of the all-time greats. He's a great competitor. He's a stud. That's it. But here's my question for you. There was times, for years now he's been great, but there were times where he battled things like, he's fallen off. Where it happened to Kershaw, he was so great, right? And one of the things that I always heard was how stubborn he was, and he's like, I'm going to make this work with the pitches I throw. And I know the Dodgers went to him and said, hey, you need to throw away to righties more to set up the in and set up the slider in. And he basically refused to do it for a while. And then when he got back to being great, he's like, all right, I'm going to try it. And it worked. So is he like that in real life, dude? Just like super stubborn, stuck in his ways and like, I'm going to make this happen?
I think it's an interesting paradox, right? Not paradox, but it's a tough situation because when you're as good as he was for so long, right? Why would you change? And so, for example, like the Dodgers approached him in the beginning of 2015 when Andrew Friedman and Farhan Zaidi took over, and they suggested he throw his curveball more. And he was like, no, like that's not going to happen. He had just won the MVP. Like there was no reason for him to stop doing what he was doing. And so AJ Ellis described him as a late listener, which I thought was really good. It's someone, he hears everything you say, and it's not that he disregards it. It's more that he doesn't implement it until it becomes necessary. And so I think that kind of the renaissance he's had, after 2019, which when he's been healthy, he's been really effective. It's related to his openness to these new concepts, his willingness to go to Driveline to learn some stuff that, 5 years earlier, it would have been like impossible to imagine him, going there and throwing weighted balls. It's his willingness to, change up some of his sequences, to try and throw more, first pitch breaking balls, to, as you said, like work away more to set up, things like that. And so it's the sort of thing that he didn't change until he had to, in part because when you're that good, why would you stop doing what you're doing?
Andy, when did you decide to write this book? And were you following the Dodgers, off season and kind of going, oh, nice. Okay. Because they're, I mean, you covered them for a while. They're probably more popular than they've ever been, at least over the last few decades, and internationally for sure. So it seems like good timing for a Dodgers book on one of their legends.
Yes, bringing back Kike Hernandez was great for their international business, and I think that they're going to blow up. I saw Kike the other day, and he was like, "What are you going to do for your next book?" And I said, "I'll write about you." And he says, "You don't do comedy." I was like, "Oh, that's pretty good." Bless his heart. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I think that it was one of the aspects, that made this book really interesting is, I'd started it a couple years earlier and then was kind of finishing it up this past winter as they are going after, Ohtani and Yamamoto and, having this $1 billion offseason. And, oh, by the way, they still haven't made a decision on Kershaw, and he was fairly open about, he was more interested in going to Texas, I think, than he had been in previous years. It ended up, where it didn't work out, where he came back to the Dodgers, and it sort of and ends on like a really you kind of put a bow on it, and it works. The Dodgers fans are thrilled. He's happy to be back with like this team that's a super team yet again, and if he can come back healthy, the next couple of months, he'll be geared up, to pitch in the postseason. And so, yeah, it definitely made the process of like finishing the book a little more exciting than I had expected it to be, but I think it's worth it overall.
Tim Brown just texted me because he's listening to the show, and he said that it's a shame you didn't come out with your book sooner because he gave up reading just recently. So I guess he'll never read it.
Yeah, no, Tim is a he's a wonderful man, and I owe a lot in my career to him, and I hope he can't hear this because his hearing went out because he's so old.
Yes, he is definitely too old and too jacked to be able to listen to what you say. He's super fit. Fit. No, but my question is, in the book, how much did you talk about the elephant in the room, playoff Kershaw? How much was that like, did he turn into the shell of like, hey, you know what, I'm just trying my best and playoff games are no different than, or was he honest with the playoff Kershaw questions?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that the book is not meant to like absolve or defend him or make excuses or anything like that. And those are certainly not things he's interested in. I think what is interesting is as you chart those 7 years, before 2020 of the sort of postseason failures, I mean, I think there's clearly a period at the beginning, specifically kind of facing the Cardinals in 13 and 14, where his stubbornness probably, got the better of him, where he was, less willing to sort of adapt at that time. AJ Ellis, talked about how he himself still feels a lot of regret for some of the, pitch calling in some of those games. And so, Kershaw was open about his stubbornness about that. And then I think as you get further along down the line, like He was pretty good in 2015. 2016, he's coming back from a major back injury, pitching on short rest, pitching in relief on 1 day of rest. And then he finally sort of conks out, against the Cubs in Game 6 after pitching a gem in Game 2. In 2017, we all know what happened there with the Astros. That's the one that, causes him still the most sort of frustration, I think. And then when you get to 18 and 19, he was at a point physically where he just – it wasn't like a playoff Kershaw issue there. I think it was just Kershaw's body wasn't working. He was effectively like a one-pitch pitcher at that point with the way that his fastball and slider had sort of lacked differentiation. And so he was pretty open about some of the mistakes in the beginning or things he might have done differently in the beginning. But I was more interested in just kind of like, what does it feel like to go through that? How do you sort of keep coming back? How do you sort of keep subjecting yourself to this trauma, for lack of a better, term. And I think it's part of the reason why he means so much to so many people, both fans and teammates and, people on other teams, is that he's always been willing to, sort of be the man in the arena and, go back out there.
First of all, yes, our 14 team, we whooped them twice. I'm just saying, but I had nothing to do with it. No, not at all. Not that I know of. Nobody talked about it. He just hung a curveball to Big City, and he smashed it. And
all the Dodgers, the Dodgers are all like, "Oh, he was tipping." And I talked to Matt Carpenter, John Jay, Matt Adams, John Mabry, and they all said no tipping. So
no tipping.
You're here to say definitively no tipping.
Nobody told me he was tipping. I don't know why. The Cardinals just could hit him. Like Game 1, he had a big lead. Remember, and I thought that they left him in too long. They should have went to the bullpen, and we came back and won Game 1. And then game 4, when Matt Adams hit the home run, just hung a curveball to him. But the thing for me is –
go for it.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, he hasn't been – listen, everyone says playoff Kershaw. He's 13-13 with a 4.4 ERA. He's had some rough starts, but he's also had a lot of good starts. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. People only remember like a couple bad starts, but he's actually had a lot of good starts. So I'm tired of hearing about, playoff Kershaw. You can do this with anybody, I guess, take out a couple bad starts. It was playoff Verlander for a while too, let's not forget, right? World Series Verlander, and then he won one. Kershaw's won a World Series. Granted, it was, people then will say, oh, it's 2020. Whatever. They won one, okay? He's got a ring on his finger, as he should. He's first ballot Hall of Famer. Kratz took my question about playoff Kershaw, but I have 2 other questions. 1, when is he going to be back? And then 2, what's going to keep the Dodgers broader from winning the World Series? What's the one miss on their team roster that they have?
Sure. I just want to say one thing about the postseason, and then I can get into that. If you pitch 6 innings and you give up 3 runs, you are said that you've made a quality start, and you have a worse ERA than Kershaw did in the postseason. So it is what it is. That's the standard of being one of the all-time greats, is you're just judged differently than everyone else. As to his current status, he threw a bullpen yesterday. He's recovering from major shoulder surgery. It's the first operation he's ever had in his career. It's a significant surgery. It's the sort of thing, I believe Kyle Wright and Brandon Woodruff both kind of had capsule surgery this past winter. They're not pitching this year. Kershaw is hoping to come back in July or August. I think it's going to be, it's a new process for him that he's sort of working his way through, but he's continuing to try and build strength, and hoping to be back by kind of the late summer. It feels dumb to bet against him, but, given his age, given the seriousness of the injury, it's going to be a challenge, but, he's certainly, he's up for it. And as for what would stop the Dodgers in the postseason, I feel like it's just it's kind of the same issue with them over the past however many years, where it's like, look, they need their best players to play well in the postseason. And look, it helps when you go from a 2-headed monster to a 3-headed monster, and you add Ohtani, who is like just an absolute freak offensively right now. But the thing that is going to have to carry them is going to be the top 3 in that lineup of, Betts, Freeman, and Ohtani. If all those guys go cold at the wrong time, you can lose to a team like the Diamondbacks. I think that they look to be a real juggernaut. I know there's some issues with the bullpen right now. I tend to think that Andrew Friedman will figure out his bullpen by the time October rolls around. They don't totally know what their starting pitching hierarchy is going to look like, but I think if Walker Buehler is able to, find anything resembling who he had been before his, second Tommy John, that would be a huge boost. Clayton Kershaw is able to come back. You have Clayton Kershaw, which certainly helps your rotation. And, you still got Glasnow, who's been excellent. Yamamoto, it seems to be settling in. I mean, they're a really good club. They have to be considered the World Series favorites. But what does that mean in May?
Nothing. But by the way, you would have been savage if you would have said the one thing that would have kept him is playoff Kershaw. You missed your shot, Andy. What do you want me to say?
That's not going to sell books.
If you just would have said playoff Kershaw, I probably would have walked off set laughing so hard. knowing you didn't mean it, but you answered it perfectly. So thank you.
No problem.
He's got that sense of humor, though.
I know. I cannot wait.
He's got it in
I
him.
expect an autographed copy of my book, of Andy's books.
AJ
this one put me to sleep. So Andy,
I love that book. That one was wonderful.
It was
Don't kiss up to Kratz.
I'm kissing up to Tim if he's still listening.
Okay.
Yeah, Tim's definitely still listening.
Tim definitely wrote it. I was just there for the pictures.
Nailed it. Well, Andy, thanks for swinging by. I know you're doing a ton of these, hopping on shows, so we appreciate the time. Everyone check out the book wherever you get books. The Last of His Kind, a bio of Clayton Kershaw. It is out now. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate you, man. Good luck with the book promo.
Thank you so much for having me. Call your local library.
Yes, I'm in for that. I am so in for that. Thank you. Make the
AJ doesn't have a library card, so he'll never get the book.
Do you have a
Why do you
library
need a
card?
library card when people send them to you for free?
Nope.
True.
Nope.
The king of free.
Yep.
Okay. Kratz Hatz. We're not leaving, but Kratz is.
Yes. And I have to give a shout out. This is the unveiling of the Faux Rattlers. It's their new hat. It's their new logo that the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers are going with, but it's from it's a 1940-ish logo, I think. They were going to be mad I got it wrong, but they sent this to me. They unveiled the new jerseys today at 11 o'clock. So you are seeing them here second, but just barely second. It's a pretty sick little brand new logo. Same team as did the Utter Tuggers. Utter Tuggers hat was pretty cool, but this one, sharp. There's like gold in it, maroon.
Yeah, they know what they're doing because Utter Tuggers was really fun. I think I gave that one A. That one's an A for me as well. Yeah, whatever that off-white, is it gold you said? Or cream?
There's gold.
Gold.
There's gold in it, but then there's like the off-white, this is off-white.
Yeah, I like
gold throughout the Rattler.
The off-white with the red works for that one. I'm not usually a red guy, but it works there.
Yes.
It's like a maroon almost. It's a different kind of red. It's awesome.
It's really well done. That's an A for me.
I give it an A. I'm giving it a B, only because I got mononucleosis and there once, so I'm going to give it a B just because I have bad memories.
You got mono in Wisconsin, and that's probably why you never have any time on the IL, because you got the least scary disease ever. You just from kissing somebody weird in Wisconsin.
And I had to play against David Arias there too.
Arias.
Yes. Then he changed his name to Ortiz and he lost 5 years. It was weird.
I'm
kidding.
He got younger.
No, listen. I'll never forget. We played against David Arias before he was David Ortiz. Mm-hmm. That offseason, we traded for David Ortiz, and we all called Terry Ryan, and we're like, "You traded for the wrong guy, bro." And he had changed his name to I think his mom's name or his dad, whatever it was.
It was Arias. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was good then.
That Arias guy could smack a baseball. Well, Kratz, it's a good one.
And I also want to give a shout out because I'm leaving early. It's senior day. Congratulations to Josh, Devin, Matt, and Brian, all the seniors on the baseball team today. We're going to celebrate the crap out of them Jones.
Yeah, let's go.
Wait, what'd you get them? Because I had to do senior night. What'd you do? We had senior night already. I was in charge of it.
What did I get them?
Yeah, gifts. What'd you get?
Pretty cool, like monogrammed or insignia bats, like engraved green bats because our team colors are green. So they're pretty sick.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, not bad.
It's a good green team color, too. It's a dark green.
That's cool.
Forest.
You copied us.
That's what you guys did?
We did Marucci. I know a guy at Marucci. And
were they free?
No, I paid for them. They gave me a discount, though. We did half blue and half yellow. Their names on them, the logo on them, because the teams are blue and yellow.
Mm-hmm. Probably a Rolex, too. Just knowing you, probably a Rolex.
And then we got them
free Rolex
cakes that were cupcakes with their jerseys. There were their jerseys, picture of the field, pictures of them, a bunch of stuff.
That's good.
We do it up right at First Academy.
I would hope so. Your clubhouse is better than most minor league clubhouses. And maybe some major league clubhouses.
Not like Dr. Pepper High School where you went. They didn't do that kind of stuff.
We didn't even have a clubhouse. We had a trailer.
We don't even have a trailer. We just have – I just found out the team that we're playing walked into our dugout and was setting up in our dugout. So I had to tell somebody to beat it.
Don't you have, like, home and visitors in the dugouts?
We have fences.
I mean, spend some of that money, Kratz.
What
He's
money?
Not there. He's on here. Yeah, exactly. Oh, go tell him beat it,
meat.
And then go beat him. See you, Kratz. We'll see you tomorrow.
See y'all.
Later. All right. Next up, FT newsletter plug. And then we'll do Hot Corner. Lead off? FT lead off?
Get your QR code.
You do this one. You never do this one.
I'm not doing this one.
That's so
Scan
weird.
the QR code for our newsletter, FT Lead Off. It's great. Scott writes it every week. It comes out twice a week?
I don't write it.
Comes out twice a week?
I work with the team behind the scenes, but there's a superstar.
Does it come out once or twice a week?
It's twice right now, and it's going to be more. Mondays and Thursdays, it's fantastic. If you miss anything, those are the days to do it because that's the light days on the MLB schedule. So click in. It's good. Highly recommended.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a little preview of what we're going to talk about on FT. We use the same segs. There's Charge the Mound.
If I had read it, then I would know that.
Etc. Yes. Still working on AJ's reading skills.
No, I get
Stay
it.
tuned.
I have subscribed. I just haven't read one yet.
Yep.
Because then I get to talk. Why would I read before I'm going to talk about it?
No, you should, because you get to see more context of what's going on. You're
pay
pretty. I will
attention.
say this guy's dialed in, so I'm not. I can't even tell you to read it because you already know what's going on. For everyone else, check it out and let's cook something up. Kratz is probably shedding a tear listening to this show in the car on the way to his game right now because he can't talk about Kevin Pillar, who just joined us the other day on a show and then bashed 2 dingers. That is the best karma. You get cut by one of the worst teams in baseball, and then you go on FT right afterwards to document the experience, which a lot of people really appreciated because you just don't get that. Joins up with the Angels, pretty instant success.
Mm-hmm.
So good for him. Pretty big shoes to fill too.
Yeah.
He's filling in for Mike Trout right now. On the Angels topic, Sam Blum wanted to point out how some of the White Sox prospects are doing because they used to be Angels prospects. We got the Angels White Sox tie-in here because of the trade last year that got them Lucas Giolito and Reynaldo Lopez for 1 month. Kai Busch, left-handed pitcher, has a sub-2 ERA and big strikeout numbers. Pretty nice strikeout to walk. And Edgar Quero, who is a catcher, has an 822 OPS in Double-A. So Blum said one of the 2 players the Angels gave up for 1 month of Giolito and Lopez. Busch has a 198. Other dude, Quero, has an 822 OPS. Really an all-timer of a trade.
Go White Sox.
That is a good sign, though, for the Sox.
That is a great sign.
Yeah.
They're saying Quero's going to be their catcher of the future.
Starting catcher? Yeah.
More than likely, unless, I would say they signed somebody, but yeah, but yeah, he's supposed to be their catcher of the future, and then they like some of the guys they made trades for. Listen, I've said it, that Getz has made some good trades to get to a point where he, has a depth in their system, because one thing they've lacked is depth. Now, can they develop these guys into big league players, and then that's what's left to be seen, but they've made some good trades for talent, but they made these trades before for talent, and it hasn't worked out. So hopefully this is the next wave.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read some of the articles, they're like the Double-A team is supposed to be really good for the White Sox.
Yeah.
Triple-A team is not good.
Triple-A team is terrible.
But the Double-A team is supposed to be really good. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Go White Sox.
It takes time. Monty Harrison, remember that name? Remember Monty Harrison?
I mean,
he was on the Brewers. He was in the Yelich trade.
Yeah.
Big time prospect.
Yeah,
great athlete.
Got a coffee. Got a cup.
A little cup of coffee. Now he's getting a cup of coffee in essentially the NFL because it's different in the SEC with football too.
It means
and it's
more.
Arkansas football. He's playing Arkansas football.
Not yet.
He's committed to Arkansas football.
No,
What do you
yeah.
mean? What?
Yeah. No, listen.
He's going to play.
We've seen this before. Chris Weinke, remember? He played. He tried.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went back and won the
Weinke
Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, and then he played in the NFL. Played
in
for
the
the
NFL
Panthers.
for a long time.
Winky was probably what, in his mid to late 20s when he played for FSU?
28, I think.
28, Monty Harris.
He was close. I remember he was at Florida State and he was older than I was close at the time. So
Winky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Tebow did the opposite, right? Tebow went from college football to try to play minor league baseball. It's hard. Like, people don't understand how hard baseball is. Like, I know it's so specialized, especially the hitting side of it. It is really hard to go from another sport to baseball. Michael Jordan tried it, right? Many people consider one of the greatest athletes of all time. But you see baseball players that don't make it go back and play. There's Hayden Hurst, I think the tight end, he tried to play. There's a bunch of guys that have gone back to other sports and played it, right? But they couldn't do baseball because baseball is so specialized, especially the hitting side of it.
Mm-hmm. I hope he makes that.
I do too. I hope he does great. I hope he gets his dream to come true to go play in the NFL. Go play in the SEC. Now, does he have to play 3 years? Or is he, because he go there 1 year, if he starts and goes off, can he go right to the NFL?
I'm sure he can. If not, that's robbery. But also, hey, if he's a star.
Like, I played against Ricky Williams in the minor leagues.
Oh, yeah.
He was not a good baseball player.
No.
He's a good running back, though.
Very good running back.
He was not a good baseball player.
I mean, you can also make some dough if you're good in college football these days.
We had a guy named Keith Legree, who was an outfielder, Twins. He also was the point guard for Cincinnati basketball back in the day when Bob Huggins was there, and they were, like, really good.
Yeah.
So he would come late because they were making their run in the tournament, and then he'd show up to spring training, or, after, but he'd show up to the season because they were, like, we'd be watching him on March Madness, and then all of a sudden he's in the clubhouse.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. He's a great dude, too. I think he's assistant basketball coach in college somewhere. He was a good dude.
Not easy to cross sports like that.
No.
Basketball hard enough to do baseball, it sounds really tough.
Yeah.
You don't hear about that often.
No.
But baseball and football is the tie that you hear.
Well, because they're separate seasons, right?
Yeah.
So football's in the fall,
right.
Baseball's in the spring.
The NFL stole Kyler Murray from us.
But you don't hear of guys going to the MLB usually. Brian Jordan, I guess, would be the one that went from football to MLB and it worked.
Yeah.
Right? Because even like Dion was a better football player than he was baseball player.
Oh, yeah.
So, you hear of guys going back to the other way. You don't hear of guys leaving their sport and going, I'm going to go play baseball. Because it usually doesn't work out.
No. And lastly, for Hot Corner, I was watching this live, so we tweeted it out. Michael Kay was giving us a little background on where his home run call comes from, the Yankees broadcast. I thought this was nice. Here it is.
One of Michael's bad dates back in the day. She just get out of the car. He didn't have time. See ya.
Now, there's truth to that story. That's how I got the call. Girl I was dating, and when I'd drop off her at a place, she'd get out of the car and she'd run out and go, see ya. Wouldn't want to be ya.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Hey, we all learn from life experiences, Scott.
I thought that was funny.
That was funny.
Some people are like, is he real? Is it real? I'm like, yeah, it's probably real. It would be kind of random to make up, although sometimes you can get sarcastic on a broadcast. But I thought that was funny.
Especially when it was 10-1 or whatever it was last night.
Yeah, they were.
But he ran out of Cias because there was a lot of balls hit off Verlander that were hit really hard.
What happened? There was an article I didn't have time to read saying like a deception issue. I'm like, that's something I'd have to look into more. He
got hit. He had a bad night. I don't know.
Yeah.
He hung. First of all, the pitch to Volpe. That wasn't an awful pitch, but he kind of shot him to right. I mean, Stanton, he hung him a slider and he hit it like 120.
Yep.
I mean, it was about this high that went in the bullpen, the left center. I mean, bad. Everyone has a bad night.
Sure.
It doesn't have to always be something. It's just bad night. And plus, the Astros are 0-5 against the Yankees this year. So
is that what they're up to now? Oh, right, because they lost the first 4.
In Houston.
Yeah.
They lost last night, so they're 0-5 against them.
Yankees have them this time. That's been a good rivalry for years. Let's slap. Luke said, by the way, Jackson Holiday this month in AAA, 211, 799 OPS. He's been ruined with, a joking emoji. It's May 8th. He'll be okay. It's good, though. Get some confidence. That'll turn around and then come back up and crush it. By the way, I know we talked about this a lot at the beginning, but the Cardinals losing Willson Contreras' bat is going to be a problem. I think Kelsey in the chat said no one else is above like 750 or something like that for their OPS. Okay.
Yeah.
You're playing the Cardinals tonight. Who are you circling?
Tonight?
I'm saying if you're playing the Cardinals tonight, right, and you're in your hitters or you're in your meeting with your pitcher, and you're like, all right,
well, here's what you're thinking.
This is a dude. He can't beat us.
Well, no, you're thinking. Honestly, you're thinking. Who are they playing?
Well, I'm just saying.
But I'm saying like right now, if I'm catching, gosh, who are they playing? I should know this.
Well, they were playing the Mets last night. Are they still in the middle of that?
They were in a rain delay. They're in a rain delay against the Mets. So if you're the Mets, you're going
today. Yeah.
You're like, all right, let's get out of town before Goldie and Arenado heat up, because Arenado's done a little bit more than Goldie has.
Yeah.
But other than that, then you look at it and you go, other than that, like if you're Sonny, if you're like, okay, Fermin, Nootbaar, Arenado, Herrera. Goldschmidt's not even playing today.
Yeah.
Burleson, Carlson, Wynn, Pages, and Ciani. Who scares you? Arenado would be the guy
by far.
In that lineup, right? Herrera's been okay. Nootbaar hasn't really done much this year. I mean, it's like, all right, cool.
That's a last place lineup.
Which was the thing we said going into the season about the car. Everyone was, I remember like all the prognosticators were like, they're going to win 89 games and win the division. I'm like, wait, this is the same team they had last year that lost almost 100 games. So I don't know.
It was a good fade at the beginning of the year. I mean,
we all
their
said it.
win total was really high, and we were confused. All right, hot sheet was yesterday. It is very relevant for today. Check it out on the Baseball America YouTube channel or wherever you get your pods. Just go to Baseball America. JJ Cooper was on with some of his BA friends. We went over the return package that they felt was underwhelming, very underwhelming for Luis Arraez. They also updated their top 100. We went through some risers and some fallers. So look to that. And for tomorrow's show, Thursday, which follows a brand new Fair Territory, we will have Ken on double duty with Foul Territory. Also, on the Angels topic, Logan O'Hoppe joins us on Friday. Angels catcher. That's the one thing I'll give them. They traded away Caro. They don't need to start a catcher.
No, O'Hoppe's good. If he didn't get hurt last year,
smashing.
he was having a great year.
Yeah.
Great 2 years.
So he'll join us on Friday. Keep sending in those guest requests. We're looking at them, whether you send them on Instagram or drop them in a YouTube comment on one of our clips. We will see you on Thursday.
Also, hold on before we go. Eric's senior night, whatever. TFA, big regional quarterfinal tonight against Bishop McLaughlin. So let's go Royals.
Good luck. Go get them.
Need one. Need to do it.